We've become such a lazy generation that our minds stop us from just doing it.
You should always be striving for more, but you should also be satisfied where you're at.
By writing down what makes you happy, re-implementing that into your life, you will be a happier person. Welcome everybody to the podcast. My name is Diego. I'm here with Jack. How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing good.
I'm actually going to let you guys know that we have recorded a probably close to 20-minute recording, and just to realize that our cameras were not... One of our cameras wasn't recording, so it's terrible. But we're going to get back into it. Welcome to this podcast. I've had podcasts like this before. One podcast like this before, but I didn't commit to it. And this time, new year, new day. First day of the new year.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna get this going, and we're gonna continue off where we were on the conversation. We were talking about some serious stuff, so I guess we could revert back to, kind of your feelings. What were you talking about?
We were talking about like self-improvement.
Yeah, self-improvement. We were talking about self-improvement and how you wanted to get into
Journaling.
Yeah.
And how it's good for you.
But what were you saying about journaling specifically?
Well, you were talking about how people journal the negatives.
Right. Yeah. So just so you guys know, I was watching a podcast on Matthew McConaughey. He was on the podcast and he was talking about how people that journal, which is a lot of people journal. You know, I journal. I'm sure you've journaled a few times.
I've before, yeah.
Or at least tried it.
Yeah.
And the idea is that most people that journal, they journal their bad experiences, or they journal their like failures in a way. So like at the end of the day, they'll be like journaling, you know, and it'll be like, oh, why was I so anxious today, or why didn't I do enough of this? Why didn't I wake up early? I gotta be better. And we were talking about how you even said that just relates more to just creates more of a kind of a negative mindset, because you're just you're writing down all the negatives, right?
Yeah.
But you're not ever looking back at the positives that happens day to day. Versus it might be better to try writing down, if you have a great day, right? And you're having a great day, you know, let's say tomorrow me and you go to the gym and you get the best gym pump ever, and you're like, okay, what workouts did I do that day that made me feel so good? Let me try to do them again. See if I get the same result. And then we go to the next place, and you go eat at this really good food restaurant or whatever. You really like their food, and it makes you feel really good that day. And you're like, okay, what was in that food? Can I re-implement that? And can I make that food myself? Can I re-implement it in some way? Who was I hanging out with that day that made me feel so happy, so good? And really start to write down less of what you do wrong, which, don't get me wrong, writing down what you do wrong is perfectly fine, but kind of focusing more on how to improve yourself, focusing less on how to improve yourself and more on what makes you happy. Because by writing down what makes you happy, and re-implementing that into your life, you will be a happier person, per se.
Yeah.
And you agree with that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think writing things down that are positive is kind of a different outlook on self-improvement, because, you know, I think maybe the true self-improvement is doing things that make you happy, because I think that'll honestly make you into a better person. Unless, like, you know, you enjoy, like, killing people. You'd be like a serial killer, then obviously that's not really self-improvement, but, you know.
Well, you were talking about this thing called toxic...
Or, like, toxic self-improvement. I guess whatever you want to call it. Where it's just
I like that, though. Toxic self-improvement.
Where it's, like, kind of, you know, I feel like I've fell into that trap before, where I've tried to improve myself in different aspects of life, like, way too much. There's a point where it kind of puts me in this constant negative mindset where I'm never happy and satisfied with myself, which isn't good for anyone, you know. Like you've told me this before. I think I learned this from you, where it's like you should always be striving for more with whatever you're doing, but you should also be satisfied where you're at and grateful for where you're at.
100%.
Yeah.
Living in the present.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us don't live in the present. I think a lot of us look into what we can be.
Yep.
But we never sit with ourselves and say, what are you doing good now? Like today, right? We're starting this podcast, right? For me, at least, I'm taking a step forward. I'm starting it. I'm getting it started again. I got to commit to it from now on, but at least I'm there and I'm starting it. And if it's what you want to do, and if it's what you know has worked in the past, why not do it again? You know, me and you, we started golfing, right? Yeah, we love that shit now. Even though sometimes we suck at it, it's whatever. It is, you know, it's golf, whatever. Golf's a hard sport. But bro, we love it so much. We're not just gonna stop golfing right?
No, yeah, I will
even
say.
even if it's expensive, even if it costs all this money, and people are like, "Wow, you dropped $800 on clubs," and I'm like, "Yeah, I dropped $800 on clubs because I love golf. I love doing that. I'm gonna spend money on what I love to do. I don't think there's ever a problem with you spending your own money that you earned to do what you want to do. I don't care what anybody else has to say, right? Because it could be the same thing if we went up to a person that spent all his money on a car. From our point of view, maybe it's not a good investment, but from his point of view, if that's what he loves, or if that was what he or she loves to do, it's her money, his money, it's their money. They get to spend it however they want, and if they love doing that, there's nothing wrong with that. So,
Yeah.
I just feel like that's the case.
No, yeah. I think golf is one of those things that me and you both started this year, and I think it's like we truly both like it. I mean, at least for me, I really like it, and it's kind of weird because I feel like usually I don't find things that I'm able to stick to that I enjoy, but for some reason, golf is just one of those things where I'll go out there and have like a bad day, which is most days, but I'll always want to go back and play just because there's so much to like about it and so much to enjoy. That's not just your score or how many pars you make, whatever. But
And I feel like it's just a life lesson in itself. Like
Yeah.
golf has just so much, like it's so humbling,
oh yeah,
right?
because you think it's easy going in because it's like an old person sport, all these old retired guys play, but then you realize you could get beat horribly by like a 75-year-old guy who's been retired for 20 years.
It's funny thing though is people say it's an old people sport. It's not an old people sport.
No,
Not at all.
but you can play until you're old. That's the thing.
That's the great part.
That's what's
about
good
it.
about it. Yeah.
Dude. When we had wives and our kids are moving on with our life, hey, you and me, 60
I'm
years
on the
old,
course all day.
we're on the course
Yeah.
all day.
That's
I
a dream.
highly suggest anybody out there that and you're gonna laugh at it at first probably because that's what most people do, especially when it's something new. But I highly suggest, no matter who you are, what you might like, what you might not like, if you haven't tried something and you're out there saying or making an opinion on something you haven't tried, that's not fair to yourself. That's just if I haven't tried pickleball and I'm over here laughing at it, and I can't do that. That's not a fair judgment because I haven't even tried it. So it's like, why would I do that? Do you believe that? Like, I feel like too many people love to just put their ideas or their thoughts into something they've never even gotten into.
Did you think you were going to start golfing this year again?
Did I
In
think so?
January?
Not in January. That wasn't even a thought in my mind. Yeah. No, I just, it's one of those things. I see too many people, and I've done it myself in the past. Oh, this kid plays golf, or this kid's doing this. It's like, dude, why are we so judgmental? Do you agree that our society has become such a judgmental, political, cultural, economical, chaotic freaking bubble of just all that shit all intertwined? And
It's horrible. It's like it's all coming together. It's all just everything's, I don't know, I feel like something's about to explode soon. Everything's just getting crazy,
Yeah,
just all those factors.
Crazier.
People are getting more judgmental, more all of that as the years go by.
I wake up now and I try, because I've been trying to self-improve myself, and I look in the mirror, and when I'm picking out an outfit every day, I look in the mirror and I say, do I like it? I don't go to my sister, I don't go to my mom, at least not at first, and
That's what you should be doing.
and say, hey, do you guys like this? It's like, do I like it? Do I feel good in it? If I like it and I feel good in it, I'm gonna wear it. Who cares what other people think? Do you know what I'm saying?
Have you always thought that way though, or is
No.
that's new, right?
Very new. I used to literally ask everybody if they thought what I was doing was okay, whether it was clothes or the sport I was getting into. Believe it or not, unless it's even when it's the closest people to you, sometimes the closest people to you are burdens in your life, because the closest people to you care about you so much that when they see you try something new, they get worried. They get worried too. And so if I saw you, starting something new, yeah, I'd be happy, but I'd also be realistic with you because I'm your friend, and I'm just make sure you're this and that, and I'd be realistic with you. But sometimes that's not good.
Yeah, sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes you need to kind of be delusional.
Dude, J. Cole said that, bro. Be delusional, bro.
Exactly.
He was talking about how when you're doing something, whether it's you're making music or you're making a podcast or you're doing this, don't go and show everybody, especially at the beginning, because you're just gonna get bad comments. Oh, okay, cool. You're gonna no, bro. Just do it. Like, your work or whatever you do will show. If you want to be a baseball player, go practice. Most of the time, it's what people don't see that makes you who you are.
Yeah.
You know? Because what I see is not what you are experiencing.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know how you feel. I don't know how you might react to a certain situation. And it's just, that's how it is. I don't know. I just feel like people are just falling into this whole trap and illusion and making too many excuses for themselves. I mean, dude, we've been to frat parties, right?
A few.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna put this out there. Every single person looks exactly the same.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
remember when we went to that?
They got that new gen, like, mustache going on.
Yeah, wait, guys, girls, dude. Remember when we went to the Dage? We pulled up, and every single girl there looked like identical. Like, they just looked like clones. Like, crop top jeans, crop top jeans, crop top jeans. Dude, it's insane.
Well, that's just how sorority girls are. I mean,
It's not even.
you're looking in the wrong place if you're trying to find, like, your wife there.
I agree. But I don't think you should be. But I've told you this before. That's a whole nother topic. Like, you shouldn't be looking for your wife. You shouldn't be looking for your best friend. You shouldn't be looking. They just come.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on where you are in life, they come to you, right? I didn't meet you because I was looking. Like, hey, I wanna get a really good best friend out of being a roommate with some. No, we met the first time. We didn't know we were gonna be here doing this, playing golf together every day, almost freaking enjoying life, hanging out as much as we do. It just happened because you were in a particular position and I was in a particular position, and then it just happened.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
Kind of goes with romantic relationships too. Definitely. Kind of works like the same exact way, you know.
how are you feeling about the romance aspect of things going into 2025?
It's not a priority, I guess. I don't think it should be a priority for anyone, you know. I think if you make it a priority, then, you know, I mean, what's the saying? It's like, love comes to you when you're not looking for it or whatever. I mean, that's true.
500 Days of Summer.
Yeah, 500 Days of Summer.
Yes, sir.
You know, Tom thought summer was the one. He had this idea in his mind, and guess what? It was just an idea at the end of the day. It wasn't reality.
And it wasn't until he got his actual job and did what he really loved to do that he met, supposedly, from what, you can
Yeah, when he was
presume.
doing what he loves to do. As we were saying before, like doing things that make you happy.
Dude, I truly believe that. And I told you this, right? If you're wearing a anime hoodie or a Avengers Marvel hoodie, right? And somebody sees that, right? And let's say you're wearing it, you're walking by, and I see it, and I compliment you. Like, if you do what you love, other people are going to see that, and similar people are going to gravitate towards you.
Your energy is going to be different if you're doing something that you love. You're not going to be in this.
100%.
Like, it's going to radiate, you know?
Dude, and I'm sure you've been in a situation where you are surrounded by people that aren't being productive, and that causes you not to be productive.
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
have you ever, especially in college, right? You ever been in a situation where you're surrounded by people and then you're lazy and you start doing things just because of that?
Yeah.
Just because everybody else is doing it?
That's
Kind
why
of
you have to
situation.
kind of be that leader that kind of does your own thing and does what, stay true to yourself and, you know, do what you know works for you, and then have other people follow you, but be a good being I guess switching topics to being a good leader. I think being a good leader, like, I think the main definition for me is leading by example. So actually doing something and not just saying you're going to do something. And I think also a big part of being a leader is having that integrity of doing stuff even when other people aren't watching, because that'll give you that confidence to know that, you know, you're on the right track, and it'll just show to other people.
Dude, you look at any movie, story, whatever you want to talk about, the leaders or the heroes or whatever, they don't say they're going to do something, they just do it.
Exactly.
By their actions, people love them because of what they do, not because of what they say, right? And it goes to show, and I think that's with anything you do in life, but I think there's so many people nowadays that say but don't do. And I'm sure me and you have fell into that trap before too. Like, you've said certain things and you haven't really done that. I've said certain things in my past that I haven't really gotten to do. And I feel like us as a generation, we're falling into this victim type generation where we're just making excuses. We're making, I'm not good enough because of this. Or I'm not, starting to play sports right now because this is going on, or this is, and I'm like, just stop it. We all have issues. right? People that are like, oh, well, I can't do this because I have anxiety, or oh, I can't do this because I have ADHD. We all have something. You could have ADHD. I might have severe stress. I might, neighbor might have severe anxiety. Okay, we all have something. But I feel like using that is preventing us even more, because now we're looking for an answer to not do something, to not accomplish something, instead of just doing it
and actually finding out if it works.
just finding out if it works.
It's kind of how it is with this podcast you started. We don't have like the most professional equipment, like you said, but just getting started, getting that foot in the door is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And that's what's gonna snowball it into,
but
hopefully something big.
And truly, the reason I'm starting this is because I love talking about shit, and you know that more than anything. Like, I love talking.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing about this is that I'm not doing this for other people. I'm doing this because I love talking. And if I'm going to talk, which is what I normally do, I want to at least have the chance to show other people what I think, or what we think, what me and you feel, and this and that, right? Because I feel like everybody should have a voice. And I think this is what this does. You know what I'm saying? Even people that might seem insignificant compared to other famous people that might not seem like they can make it that far. I'm not doing it just to get famous. I'm doing it because I love talking, and might as well have a podcast and maybe hopefully make money out of it one day.
Yeah.
And if I don't, I don't. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm old and I'm playing golf and I tell myself, oh, I didn't try, I'm gonna be even more pissed at myself. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where better to try it than not do it at all and never find out what could have been. Yeah. I think that's my saying too. Like, I even tell you all the time, like, hey, better to go into it and not like it and to not do it and regret it.
Yeah, regrets a lot worse than
way worse
than doing something and failing.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with like going up to a girl, getting rejected, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a lot better than not having gone up to that girl at all. And I mean, just stuff like that is like, you can kind of put that with anything in life, where it's just doing something and failing at it. You kind of have to do that. Anyone who's successful, all like the big names out there. I don't know who has a lot of money, like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, whatever. Those big names, they've probably failed more times than someone who is considered a failure today. But they failed so many times to like get to where they are, and that's kind of just how it works. You have to fail, and if you're not failing, you're doing something wrong.
I think I like this because I want this to become a space where me, you, eventually when there's somebody else on the podcast, can just self-evaluate. Because one thing I think is falling into that social media trap of like seeing all these people talking about certain things, and it's like, no, how about me and you talk? Yeah. Me, you, and talk about what's going on in our life. No matter how personal it is, like, just get it out, put it on the table. Because
we have our own experiences. Our experiences are so different than like anyone else out there.
Way different.
Everyone has their own unique experience that gives them their own perspective on things.
That's the beauty of it, though. Yeah,
to be on a podcast and be able to like say all that, and it's going to be different to what someone else is going to say. There's a beauty in that, definitely.
Do you think playing video games, for example, is like a waste of time?
I think it's a waste of time. In general, no, and hear me out. I think if you're getting your priorities done and you're doing it, not too long, then it's good. I mean, obviously we can all agree that, playing video games all day and just, not showering, like those type of people who are just so like, deep into it, which is kind of how I used to be in like middle school. I'm sure you were like that too. Most guys our age were back then. I think being like that is obviously horrible. And if you're like that still at like 20 years old, that's really bad. But I think video games can be good in a sense where it's like, like you need some people like genuinely love video games. And, like we were saying before, if you actually genuinely do love it, then play video games. You know what I mean? It's like if it's truly disrupting your life in a way where you're actually not getting shit done, when you should be, that should be a priority, then yeah, there's something wrong with that. But
balance.
Yeah, having your priorities straight while also playing video games, or you could go full into it and become a streamer or a pro gamer and actually make money out of it. Like it's not bad.
But I'm glad you put that out, because how much potential is there? Genuinely, how much potential is there out there to make money out of stupid things like that?
So much.
So much potential.
Today, a lot.
So much.
Yeah.
And I told you before, right?
It's like normal now.
Because
much.
you are an industrial designer, right?
Yeah.
Prime example. Remember how I told you, why not take what you do and like make a short content videos of it? Just put it out there.
You never know what's gonna happen.
Never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And sure, it may take some work, but like, bro, I feel like that's the other thing. We're so lazy. Like, we are so late. We've become such a lazy generation that our minds just stop us from just doing.
Yeah. Because we're always thinking about it.
We're always thinking, and we're always overthinking. Oh,
it's not worth it.
I don't have this. Yeah. It's not enough. What if it doesn't work? What if it works? Yeah. What if it fucking works?
Like, life is just unexpected like that. You just gotta try out new things, and it'll hit you with something unexpected. It'll reward you. Life will reward you.
It will.
The universe works in a weird way like that.
Listen, you work out every day for a year, you're gonna see progress.
Yeah. Do you think people 100 years ago, where they didn't really have gyms, you know what I mean? I'm sure there are people that worked out, that kind of knew about it, but do you think, you notice how people, 100 years ago...
You don't think they had gyms 100 years ago?
Well, they probably did like bodyweight exercises, like push-ups and stuff.
No, they definitely had gyms.
Maybe like really bad ones.
Yeah, maybe not like today, but all right,
continue. But it wasn't a norm back then as well.
Yeah, they had like sticks and marshmallows.
And yeah, so I mean, yeah, most people back then, you could literally look at pictures, like nobody has muscle back then, and that was normal because nobody really knew about like bodybuilding and stuff, just getting more muscle. They didn't know it works that way. The science didn't really prove it. But
well, that's not true. There's still people that had muscle back then. In fact, I feel like you can argue that people had more muscle because more. And if you look further back, even past 100 years, more people had more muscle because they would actually go out, especially men. Like, they would actually go out and do shit. Like, you had more, like, you didn't have social media, you didn't have video games. So most of the jobs would be to go out and do heavy lifting things, and that would make people stronger, like in the medieval times, bro. People were fighting each other for fun.
Yeah.
You had to be strong, you know what I'm saying? And most of those people were strong.
Well, I'm talking about more so just... I mean, that's true what you're saying. That's true, definitely. I think people overall were stronger back then, but they didn't. That just naturally they were stronger back then, just because of their daily tasks that they had to do, and everything wasn't so easy to do and just ease of use. But, I'm saying more so when you look at like actual big like people who are like, 6-pack, like big pecs, like visibly like a bodybuilder. That's so common nowadays, and it's common because it's common because the science has proved that it works, and it's just one of those things where it's like people know that it works, so they're gonna do it even though there's no instant gratification with it. The results aren't direct. Mm-hmm. So you kind of think back then, and it's like, I think the reason people back then didn't work out a lot as much as they did today is because that it was considered like an anomaly if we were like that big back then.
Yeah,
like huge.
There was no steroids.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it comes down to. There wasn't steroids, and if there was steroids, that people didn't use it to that extent.
No, yeah.
People didn't say, "Oh, I'm not big enough. Let me just juice up."
Yeah, and the main point though is just that like.
Hold on, this is about